In August 1305, England invented a new death, and William Wallace was the test run. Betrayed near Glasgow, he was tried at Westminster in a single day and denied treason. He had never sworn loyalty to Edward I. He was dragged behind horses to Smithfield, hanged, cut down alive, disemboweled, then beheaded and cut into four. His head went onto London Bridge, his limbs to Newcastle, Berwick, Stirling, and Perth. He never got a grave. Edward wanted a warning. He manufactured a martyr. In 1757, a servant scratched a king, and the French state answered for 4 months. Robert-François Damiens stabbed Louis XV with a penknife at Versailles. The blade went barely a centimeter deep. The king recovered within days. Damiens spent 83 days under torture, then was taken to the Place de Grève, where spectators rented windows. Casanova was one of them, and called it an offense against common humanity. Damiens was torn apart by horses and burned to ash. He was the last man quartered in France, and probably mentally ill. In February 1587, England beheaded a queen and botched it. Mary Stuart had been Elizabeth's prisoner for 19 years when the Babington plot sealed her. At Fotheringhay, a scaffold was built inside the Great Hall. The first blow of the axe struck the back of her head. The second almost finished the job. The last sinew had to be cut through. Lifting the head to the crowd, the executioner was left holding a wig. Her small dog was found under her skirts, soaked in blood. Anointed monarchs were untouchable, not after that morning. In 71 BC, Rome answered a slave revolt with 120 miles of crosses. Marcus Licinius Crassus had crushed Spartacus in southern Italy, and the rebel leader's body was never found. 6,000 captured survivors were left over. Crassus had them crucified along the Appian way, from Capua to Rome, so that every traveler walked the full length of the punishment. Crucifixion killed slowly, over hours or days. Rome recorded not one of the 6,000 names. The message was never for the dead. It was for everyone still enslaved. In March 1314, France burned the Templars' last Grand Master on a deliberately slow fire. Jacques de Molay had confessed under torture after 7 years in a cell. Standing before the cardinals, he took it back. Philip IV needed no new trial. A relapsed heretic could go straight to the flames. De Molay and Geoffroy de Charnay were burned on a small island in the Seine, in sight of Notre Dame. Witnesses said the pyre was built to burn low and long. He had confessed to survive. He recanted to die honestly. In Salem, an 81-year-old farmer was crushed to death for saying nothing at all. Giles Corey and his wife Martha were accused of witchcraft. Any plea meant a rigged trial and a forfeited farm. Silence meant the court could touch neither. On the 19th of September 1692, he was stripped, laid beneath a board, and loaded with stones. For 2 days he refused to speak. Asked to plead, he answered, "More weight." Martha was hanged 3 days later. He remains the only person ever pressed to death in America, and his sons kept the land. England once wrote a law for the sole purpose of boiling one man alive. In February 1531, guests at the Bishop of Rochester's table fell ill after eating porridge. 2 died, a gentleman named Bennet Kirwan and Alice Trippitt, a widow living on charity. Parliament rushed through the act for poisoning, made poisoning treason, and fixed the penalty as boiling. The cook, Richard Roos, insisted he had only meant a prank. On the 5th of April, he was chained above a cauldron at Smithfield. Parliament built a punishment for one man, then kept it. The first man to shoot a head of state was punished as though pain could undo the shot. On the 10th of July, 1584, Balthazar Gerard shot William of Orange inside his own house in Delft. William died on the stairs, asking mercy for his people. Gerard was tried within 3 days and executed in the market square after 4 days of torture, in a manner contemporaries called extreme even for the 16th century. Philip II rewarded his family with land. The revolt he tried to kill outlived him by 3 centuries. Hungary burned the servants and let the countess keep her castle. Elizabeth Bathory was accused of killing dozens of girls at Cheste. When Palatine Thurzo raided it at the end of 1610, he found a dead girl inside. 4 servants were tortured, tried, and condemned. Ilona Jo and Dorothea Sentis had their fingers torn off with red-hot pincers, then were burned alive. János Újvári was beheaded first, as a mercy, and thrown on the same fire. Bathory was never tried. She died confined in her own castle in 1614. Rank decided the sentence. In 1701, London hanged a pirate twice, then displayed him for 3 years. William Kidd had sailed with government backing, then was declared a pirate himself, convicted partly of killing his own gunner, William Moore, with an iron bucket. At Execution Dock in Wapping, the rope snapped and he fell into the Thames mud, alive. They hanged him a second time. His tarred body was locked in an iron cage at Tilbury Point, where every ship entering London passed it. The documents that might have cleared him surfaced in 1910. China's finest general was cut apart in public because of a rumor the enemy invented. Yuan Chonghuan had beaten back the Manchu armies of Nurhaci and Hong Taiji and defended Beijing itself. Then the Chongzhen emperor believed the rumor. In 1630, he was sentenced to lingqi, slow slicing, at a crossroads in Beijing. Imperial records say he took half a day to die. The crowd, told he had sold the empire, cheered. Later dynasties cleared his name. Slow slicing was abolished in 1905, nearly 3 centuries too late. In 1597, Japan crucified 26 Christians on a hill above Nagasaki. Toyotomi Hideyoshi had ordered missionaries and converts arrested. 20 were Japanese. Their left ears were cut off, and they were paraded through the cities in carts, then marched roughly 800 kilometers to Nishizaka Hill. Paul Miki preached from his cross until a spear went into him. The youngest, Louis Ibaraki, was 12. He was offered his life in exchange for a denial and refused it. Japan set out to end a faith. It produced saints instead. Rome executed its chief priestess without spilling a single drop of blood. Around the year 90, the Emperor Domitian accused the chief Vestal, Cornelia, of breaking her vow of chastity. She was condemned in absence, unheard. Because a Vestal's blood could not legally be shed, she was carried through the streets and lowered into a sealed underground chamber with bread, milk, and a lamp. Her alleged lovers were beaten to death in public. Pliny the Younger, who recorded her final walk, believed her innocent. Rome refused to call it an execution because nobody watched. Toulouse broke a father on the wheel for a crime that never happened. In 1761, Jean Calas, a Protestant merchant, found his son Marc-Antoine hanged in the family shop and lied to spare him a suicide's disgrace. The lie became a murder charge. In March 1762, his limbs were broken with an iron bar bound to a cartwheel. He insisted on his innocence until the executioner strangled him. His property was seized, his daughters sent to a convent. Voltaire took up the case. 3 years later, judges in Paris cleared a dead man. The most brutal penalties in history are not medieval. The last one here was filmed. After the July 1944 plot to kill Hitler collapsed, 8 officers, among them Field Marshal Erwin von Witzleben, were condemned in a 2-day trial. On the 8th of August, they were hanged in a small room at Plötzensee prison, from hooks fixed beneath the ceiling, under bright lights, cameras running. The film was sent to Hitler's headquarters. More than 100 death sentences followed. Cruelty did not end with the Middle Ages. It simply learned to keep a copy. Every penalty here was designed to be watched. The pain was never the point. The audience was. The states that staged them are gone. The records are not. Which of these 15 shocked you most? Tell us, and we will take that one next.